Okay. Okay, great. So the Yechave Daat class for today, I just want to make a disclaimer because I got some feedback. This is for the people that watch on YouTube. So this class, I don't think I ever specified or clarified for the YouTube people what exactly the class is about. Everyone here knows what it's about, but by the time I press go live on my phone, we're already in the class. And so I just want to make it clear for the people watching on YouTube that this is a Yechave Daat class. This is not my halachot. I'm not a posek. I don't consider myself a posek. We follow a book in this class. This is Yechave Daat, which is a set of books, which is written by Yechave Daat Shiur, alav shalom. There's 6 books in the set, and every week we're going through one teshuvah. So the words that I say in this class every Sunday, they're not my words. They're the words of Yechave Daat. And so if someone watching this, it's fantastic if you have your own opinions or you disagree in how something was understood or one of the sources. My only request is if you know Hebrew, then please read the halakha, read the teshuvah yourself first so you can understand what Yechave Daat is saying, and then we can hash it out. I'm happy to hash it out. There's a set of these books in the Beit Knesset, Yechave Daat. There's 2 sets in the Beit Knesset, also looks like this. I have a set in my house. If you want to come to the shul, I'll be happy to sit with you, or come to my house and I can sit with you also. But I just want to stress, these are not my halachot. This is the halakha of Yechave Daat Yosef. Okay, and so today's halakha is Yechave Daat, Book 4, Siman Het. Book 4, Siman 8. And the question of the day is, Mi shelabesh b'mei hakayit chultza b'shtavalim ketzarim, someone who's wearing short sleeves, can they pray and be a chazan and lead the prayers in the shul for everyone if they're wearing short sleeves in the hot summer? And so we'll go outside briefly and read some of it inside, the main sources that Yechave Daat brings. So source number 1, we'll go very quickly through it. Source number 1 is Gemara Berachot. Gemara Berachot Daf Lamed Amud Bet says, Rabbi Yehuda, before he would pray, he would make himself nice with begadim, with clothing, na'im u'mipalel. He would make sure he looked nice, fix his clothing in the mirror, and then he would pray to Hashem. Why? He should bow to Hashem with nice. Hidud is nice, looking nice. And so we see from the beginning there is a concept to look nice before you speak to the King of the universe. That's source number 1. Source number 2, Masechet Shabbat, page 10. It says, this might sound funny to us, but maybe in those days with what they used to wear, it says over here, Rabba bar Rab Huna, who was a rabbi in the Gemara, Haya makpid lilbosh an pelaot. These are not the words of the Gemara because he's translating it into Hebrew. It's really Aramaic. And what it says is, Rabba bar Rab Huna, he would make sure he would put on nice socks before he would pray. Now maybe it means stockings or some sort of long socks because of the clothing we're talking about a long time ago in Babylonia, what they used to wear. But he would make sure to wear nice socks in honor of the prayer. So we're seeing a theme over here that we have to make sure we're dressed nicely for prayer. Yechave Daat goes on and says the Rambam. He quotes the Rambam. Rambam says, Hamid Palel, someone who's praying, you should make sure your clothing looks nice first. Make yourself look nice. Therefore, you should not stand up to pray. We're talking about a man now. Not with an uncovered head. Or uncovered feet. If the custom of the place is that you would never go visit an important person with bare feet, then in that sort of a place, which is I guess America, right? I would never go visit into a business meeting or an interview with bare feet. So too I shouldn't pray with bare feet as well. These are the words that Rambam. Sandals. Sandals. So in Israel, they wear sandals also, right? In other places they wear sandals a lot more. So it goes by the derech. It seems right now that it goes by the derech of the place. We'll get a little more into this in a second. Okay, the next source he brings is Manash Haruch. He says very similar. In Manash Haruch, Siman 98, he says that tefillah, he mishameshet b'makom ha'kurban. Tefillah is in a place of a sacrifice. ולכן ראוי שיהיה לו מלבושים נעים מיוחדים לתפילה. Maran Shulchan Aruch says it's a good idea to have special clothing just for praying. Like a praying jacket that a lot of guys wear, right? Special clothing just for praying. Because it's in place of sacrifices, korbanot. Well, in the Bet HaMikdash, the Kohanim had special garments for the service. So just like the Kohanim had special garments for the service, so too it's a good idea for us to have special praying clothing. But Maran Shulchan Aruch says, Ela, however, not everyone can afford to have a nice, beautiful wardrobe just for praying. Therefore, tov v'nachon, it's good. He says, so at the very least, it's very good to have clean pants for the prayers. Maran Shulchan Aruch writes, again, also, we put ourselves back a few hundred years in the older countries. What did they do all day? They didn't sit by a keyboard. I can work all day long by my computer and not even get a crease on my shirt. But in those days, the work was, you got dirty during work. And so he would say, change your pants for nice pants for prayers. Okay. There's another, now we get toward a little bit more into the chazan part, the shliach tzibur part. The Rama, Ashkenaz posek in the Shulchan Aruch, the Rama says, in Timan 53, he says, a shliach tzibur, a chazan, shu shohet, his job is to slaughter animals all day long. Ubodek, if his clothes get dirty because of his job, if he's in the slaughterhouse all day long with blood and all sorts of wonderful things that are inside animals, if he doesn't want to change his clothing, if you tell the Hazan, hey, you're a shliach tzibur, you shouldn't wear that when you're leading our prayer. I know that's your job. You should change before you lead the prayers. And he's paid for the job. It's his job. If he doesn't want to change his clothes, then you can fire him and get a new hazan, because it's not nice. He's leading the whole shul, and even though that's his job, he should wear different clothes. Okay, now let's go to a little bit more into the heart of the issue. There's a Mishnah in Masechet Megillah. Towards the end of the Masechet, the Mishnah says, a poheach, which we'll define in a second. What is a poheach? A poheach, even though he's allowed to do prayers, he's allowed to do certain prayers, definitely by himself, not leading the crowd, or even leading the shul for certain types of prayers, which we don't really do anymore these days. But to be an official hazan and a Baal Koreh, the poheach should not do. What's a poheach? So there's a mahloket. Rashi says a poheach is someone whose knees are showing. It could be someone who's hunched over and is raising up his robe that he's wearing, and so his knees are showing. Rashi says that's what a poheach is, and this guy shouldn't be hazan. However, the Rif, Abalfasi, he says that a poheach is someone shebegadav kiru'im uzra'otav migulot. It's someone that has torn clothing. So imagine his shirt is the scoop neck of his shirt is stretched out or torn, and so his shoulders are showing, and his arms, the upper arms, are showing. This is a poheach, and so that's what the Rif translates to poheach. And Rambam agrees. Rambam writes, "Mi sheketafav migulot," someone who has exposed shoulders. Afa pi shehu pores hashema eno naaseh shliach tzibur ad shi'atuf. He can't be hazan. He can't be a shliach tzibur with exposed shoulders until he wraps something around him. So a hazan, someone wants to have one of those I've seen, I think it's in fashion now, one of those big scoop T-shirts the guys wear now. I've seen it, like the Hollywood people. Someone like that who has, so his shoulders exposed and his upper arm is exposed, the Rambam says straight out, he should not be hazan unless he wraps something on top of himself. He can't lead the whole kahal as a shliach tzibur. Okay. Maran Shulchan Aruch, what does he say? In Siman 53, the same word, poheach. I'll say in Ashkenaz, poheach. A poheach is, again, there's someone who has either, Rashi says, knees showing, or most other people hold its shoulders and upper arms exposed. A poheach, Maran Shulchan Aruch says, v'hu mishi begadav kiru'im, someone with a ripped shirt. Uzro'atav migulot, and his arms are showing, his upper arms, or whatever this is called, the upper arm on top of the elbow, is showing. Lo yared lifnei hateva, he should not be hazan. Manash Hanuruk says this. What is this area? Not the bicep, besides for the bicep, the whole.
This is the arm.
This is the arm, and this is the forearm. So the arm, someone whose arm is showing, Manash Hanuruk says he should not be hazan. Also Rambam. Okay. Now. In addition, Yechave Daat goes into a little bit of a side issue, which I don't want to spend so much time. It's about, we'll do very, very briefly, and we can do this another week. When you're praying, if you want to pray or say berachot, say Hashem's name, you have to make sure your hands are clean, right? It's a very good idea before you make a beracha on a fruit or food or drink or prayer, you say, wash your hands. It doesn't have to be with a cup. Just wash your hands in the sink 1 second. You want clean hands, right? There are certain things that make your hands halachically unclean. Halachically, even though in sanitation-wise they could be beautiful. Halachically, for example, someone walks into the bathroom. Just the mere act of walking into a bathroom, the bathroom has now made your hands not clean for Torah. And you have to wash your hands. So let's say my wife will say to me, can you grab me the baby's cream from the bathroom? I'm like, I just washed my hands to pray. If I go in there, I got to wash my hands again. Sometimes the excuse works, sometimes it doesn't work. Right? It usually works. But the feet, touching your shoes, touching your feet also. Violation. If you touch your feet, let's say you're praying and you touch your shoe, you have to stop praying, wash your hands, and resume. Touching your shoelaces is okay. Shoelaces. Now we're getting off. Yechave Daat says, so if I've done it, you very carefully tie your shoes during prayers. If you don't touch the shoe itself, you're good. Touching your feet, even without shoes, is a no-no. Feet, not socks, under the socks. Feet without shoes also, you have to wash your hands. Scratching your head in a place that's usually covered. And touching your body in a place that's usually covered. So, stomach, for example, is usually covered. Someone sticks in to itch a mosquito bite, that's considered you just made your hands tameh, or not dirty, and you have to wash your hands before you pray. So you want to make sure you do all these things. Now, there's a big question. I don't want to go deep into this, but there's a big question about the arms, right? So the forearm is great territory. Nothing wrong with the forearm, as we know. Once you pass the elbow, it starts getting into a whole argument with tons of poskim. Some say it's okay. The top portion of the arm is also cool. You can touch it and not have to wash. Some say, no, if you touch this portion, it's just like a cover. It's usually covered, so you have to wash your hands after you touch it if you want to pray. And then there's an opinion that for men, the left arm, which we put tefillin on, is usually uncovered every morning, so the left arm you can touch and the right arm you can't touch. So there's tons of different opinions. I'll just say one more thing about this whole topic and we'll move from it, that Yechave Daat says if you just got out of the shower, and you touched your body before you had a chance to even sweat or do anything, then there's a leniency that you wouldn't have to wash if you want to say a blessing. And it's actually, for a dad of little kids, I just bathed my kids and they're clean as a whistle, and one of my kids said, help me put my pajamas on. Do I have to wash now? They're clean. And so if they just got out of the shower, I personally wouldn't wash. Maybe I'll rub my hand on my shirt for a second and use that leniency. Okay. And so he's going into this area for a second here, and he's saying, because we're talking about someone, he's like, what's so bad about this upper arm being exposed? If I want to be hazan, what's wrong with the upper arm? And so he's sort of correlating and saying, well, if you hold the upper arm you can't touch because it makes you tameh, then that is also something that shouldn't show if you're a hazan. It would be the same line of reasoning. It's an area that's usually covered. And that's the way that he goes. The upper arm, it shouldn't be touched, preferably, if you want to pray. And therefore, the hazan also would make sense that he shouldn't have this arm showing if he wants to pray. So if it's a hot summer day and everybody comes to shul, and a lot of guys are wearing short sleeves, the gabbai would have to know not to send him to be chazan, because he's wearing short sleeves that go up to here. Or to have a talet nearby, so you can put a talet on or borrow someone's jacket. Okay, so these are all proofs that really show that praying by yourself is fine if you're not, let's call it sinua, even though it's not a law of sinu. Praying by yourself, it says straight out in the Mishnah, if you have the torn shirt, you can pray by yourself. You just can't be chazan. So praying by yourself is no problem if you have short sleeves. You can wear a tank top and you can pray by yourself. That's kosher, as long as you don't touch parts that are usually covered. Make sense? Now we have a dissenting view. We're almost done. We'll wrap it up quick. There's a dissenting view by Rabbi Ovadia Haddaya, who was a Halabi. He was a Syrian rabbi. He was a great rabbi, posek. Wrote Yaskil Abdi, Hacham Ovadia Yosef and Chacham Mitzion Bar Shaul, both who were chief rabbis of Israel. They were very poor when they were learning together in yeshiva, and they were havrutaz. And they scraped together as much money as they can to always buy the latest edition of Yaskil Abdi by Rabbi Haddaya, because they loved reading his teshuvot. He lived in a time where there was not many Sephardi teshuvot. Like we have all these books now by Sephardim, halacha. In his time, he was like the only one doing it in Israel at the time. And so what does he say? He has very strong words. And I'll read you his words. He's like a dissenting view. He says, Afilu imahusa shel hatzi shraval. Even if someone's wearing a short sleeve shirt, and it covers until the elbow in a kosher way. We're talking about a man even, not even one, a man. A guy who's wearing a short sleeve shirt with long enough sleeves that covers his elbow. Asur lemi shilobshal yoshliach sibur. It's asur for this guy to be a hazan. Cover his elbow, asur. He wants a full sleeve, Rabbi Adaya. And then he says, I don't care only about the upper arm. You should be covered fully. If you want to lead the crowd, you want to lead the shul, you should be covered fully like a normal mensch covers themselves. If you're not covered fully all the way down to your wrist, then Rabbi Haddaya says, you're out, you're disqualified from being a hazan. It's not an honor to the sibur. No one would stand up in front of a gadol, a great person, an important dignitary with a short sleeve shirt. That's what he says. That's what he says. I'm not sure that's still the case these days. If anyone had a visit, let's say the president of the United States, they would put a jacket on top of their short sleeve shirt. Even if the whole shul says, we don't care, we want him to be a hazan, we're a mochel on our kavod. Can he be mochel on the kavod of the sibur? He says, no. He says, I don't care if you guys don't care. You have to have a hazan that's kosher. He says, you would never have the chutzpah to go into a court case with a short sleeve shirt, or lebate hadin, or lenasi medina, or to the president's office or the prime minister in a short sleeve shirt. You should never stand up to pray to lead the crowd in front of the King of Kings. Even if this guy is just a regular guy, he doesn't want to be hazan, just wants to pray in the shul, wants to be a regular shul member. He comes in a short sleeve shirt. You should stop him from doing so. Very strong words from Rabbi Haddaya. Very, very strong words. And he goes on. However, this is not really the accepted halakha. Chacham Haddaya says, okay, slow down 1 second, slow down. He says, first of all, these days, the short sleeve shirt, Chacham Haddaya doesn't say this, but these days, the short sleeve shirt, we would go. I mean, I've gone on business meetings in a short sleeve. It's hot, it's the summer, it's accepted. Even the wealthy people, the wealthier you get, it seems the more casual you dress. Right? You wear like a nice Tommy Bahama shirt if you're a guy with like you're on a sailboat. The more you dress like that, the wealthier you look. But that's my own words. That's not Chacham Hadiya's words. However, Chacham Hadiya argues, and he says, "Va'ani tama." I am in bewilderment. I'm wondering on Rabbi Haddaya on this halakha. Sha'afilud barav. What in the world is your problem with guys who want to pray with a short sleeve shirt? Not as chazan, regular guys. It's an open Mishnah. We just read the Mishnah. A porheach, someone with a cut shirt, he can pray parts of a tefillah. He just can't be hazan. So what are you kicking people out of shul because they're wearing short sleeve shirt for? Chacham Hadiya argues with this 100%. Ulam ha'emet, he finishes off and he says, the truth is, Torah darka, shegam lashliach sibur in le'esod, The only time you should protest a chazan or shliach tzibur is if the upper arm is showing. Which, honestly, these days, all of our short sleeve shirts that men wear are above the elbow. It's kind of dorky right now if you want to wear a short sleeve shirt that goes over your elbow. They finish here, all the way on top, the short sleeve shirts these days. But if a guy happens to be wearing a short sleeve shirt and it's covering his elbow, he is a kosher hazan. Abal, our eyes see. People, they walk in front of honorable people with short sleeve shirts that cover the elbow and there's no problem. And that's the halakha from Hakam Vadia. He said, B'sichum, in summary, halobesh chulza, someone who wears a short sleeve shirt, which cover until the elbow, mutar lo liot shliach sibur, he can be a hazan if his elbow is covered until his elbow. He can be a hazan. But if his sleeves are shorter than the elbow, he cannot be a hazan or read the Torah if his sleeves are too short. That's not the honor of the sibur. A man who wears shorts. Someone who wears short pants, shorts, like the people in the kibbutzim wear shorts. He also should not be a hazan. If someone's wearing shorts, he should not be a hazan. Abal, however, but someone in his own house who wants to pray in his own house, a man or a woman wearing shorts or wearing shorts, very short sleeve shirts, no problem, is allowed to pray in your own house like this. However, be careful, like we said. Don't touch your legs if you're wearing shorts. Make sure you don't touch your legs when you're praying, because then you have to get into the whole washing problem. It's good to tell teachers in schools, where I guess they wear like knickers, the shorts in schools. It's good to tell the teachers to teach their children, the students, that come to school or camp in shorts, that they shouldn't touch their legs or their feet when they're learning Torah, because then they'll have to wash. So the halakha is from Yechave Daat Shiur. Again, if someone's wearing shorts, a shirt that has very short sleeves, they can pray like that. There's no problem. You can pray like that. However, you can't be hazan. And the same thing goes for shorts. You can pray with shorts, but you can't be a hazan or read the Torah. And so that's why you wear a jacket on top. Or that's why they have a talet always hanging around, because if someone has short sleeves, they can just quickly drape a talet around them, and they can be hazan that way. That's the halakha for today.